It's still the All-Star break, which means we've still got time to comb through the wreckage of the first half for the Minnesota Twins. Today, the pitchers, and maybe the coaching staff and front office if we got time. Let's get efficient. Let's get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who was a terrible pitcher in Little League, and my shoulder has not been the same since. Maybe I need to see the Dr. Keith Meister making surgeries. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Well, la-di-da. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warne, whose arm was good enough to let him play first base in college. How about that? Brandon was a Twins fan, who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find our work at Access Twins, the newsletter, and zone coverage of the blog on the podcast today. Twins pitching staff grades for the first half of 2025. Who is good? Who is bad? Who is incomplete? We also try to shoehorn in grades for the coaching staff and front office if we have time. We will be unmerciful. Maybe. But first, not really anything. We're going to jump right into it. The Twins finished the first half 16th in runs allowed, only 12th in earned runs. Thank you, subjective scoring decisions that apply errors to the equation. They were 9th in most home runs allowed, 1st in fewest walks allowed, 14th in most strikeouts. All the numbers, though, were skewed by June. The league had a 4.12 ERA in June, but not the Twins. 6.07. The next worst was the Rockies at 5.30. And then 16 teams had an ERA somewhere in the 4s, 11 in the 3s, and the Astros, those lucky sons of guns, 2.93 ERA. And just a few pitchers were responsible for this skewing. Scott Paddack, Chris Paddack, Christian Scott Paddack, 6.06 ERA in 32 and 2/3 innings. Justin Topacabana, 6.23 ERA in 13 innings. David, let's have a festa, 7.61. Too much partying, not enough pitching in 23 innings. Bailey Ober, everybody knows, a 9 ERA, and boy, was it. The balls weren't flat when they were flying over the fence, though. 30 innings pitched. And Sands has been better in July, but in June, Cole Sands, 9.31 ERA and 9 and 2/3 innings. They only had Pablo Lopez for one start. 18 pitchers in June were used by the Twins. 13 of them had an ERA under 4. It's not just the June review that we're doing now, but what I'm saying, Brandon, is when you look at the first half, the pitching was good, except for the entire month of June when they went 9 and 18 and could not pitch. It's really kind of put them behind the 8 ball here as we come into the second half.
And the start to July has been respectable enough that you could almost, I'm not saying you'd feel 100% confident, but you could feel like June was more of an aberration than any sort of actually concerning trend. However, more problematic yet is that they still have at least one rotation spot that's a complete question mark, entirely a question mark, but another that you're still not quite sure what you're going to get out of that spot. You obviously expect to have Zebby back sooner rather than later. Pablo's still going to take a while to build back up. We'll probably have an update on him on Friday out of Denver or over the weekend, just maybe a general catch-up situation. So we'll see. But, yeah, the pitching staff – and, again, like when I think about the pitching staff on the whole, I still believe that there's enough talent there to be just fine. I think they ran into just a really extended stretch of – malaise, and for lots of different reasons. Bailey Ober had the worst month of his career. Pablo Lopez was out, and outside of Joe Ryan, it was quite ugly. So, the personnel doesn't change that much in July, and they're pitching better. I think that's a step in the right direction, but I also am thinking they're going to benefit from a weak schedule down the stretch, which is nice because we don't know when they're going to get back to, or if they're going to get back to full strength with this rotation here in the short term.
Well, let's not get too much into what we see in the second half. That could be a second, third, fourth show.
Yeah.
we want to do as we go into the next bunch of games. But let's do some grades right now. Joe Ryan comes away with an A, 2.72 ERA in 18 starts and a strikeout to walk ratio of 121 to 23. So pretty good. Made the All-Star team, pitched a clean inning, got some strikeouts. I don't remember the line exactly, but it was a great inning. He looked great.
2 strikeouts.
Two strikeouts. Good for him. Joe Ryan, a clear A. Maybe you want to give him an A+, that's fine. But he's all A's to me.
You know,
they're going to trade him to Oakland.
Well, nobody's going to Oakland. It's Sacramento, remember? I was thinking about this. I'm actually like legitimately fresh off vacation while we're recording. Like, walked through the door and came in here. So I spent the drive home thinking about, is there any Twins pitcher I could give a straight up A or like A+ to? And I thought if the measuring stick is, let's say, Garrett Crochet or Tariq Skubal being that, then no. But really, when you look across Joe Ryan's line, 10 strikeouts per 9, 1.9 walks per 9, less than a homer per 9, 2.72 ERA backed by FIP, xERA, all in the low to mid threes. I mean, the only thing that's really a ding against him is his 248 batting average on balls in play, and that's not necessarily his fault. He gives up fly balls and has a pretty good outfield defense. He's probably benefited more from Byron Buxton being healthy the bulk of the year than anybody. So I think you got to give him an A. And honestly, I don't even feel that much trepidation about it. If in other years, or maybe even still at some point this year, there's Cy Young contention. It'll be down ballot contention, of course. But if he throws 180-ish innings, you're probably looking at a 4.5-ish Fangraphs WAR pitcher. That's a solid starter. Like, I think we've lost sight of the fact that there aren't that many of those around anymore.
For sure. Well, and I think Twins fans have seen a bunch of them pitching some games over the years too. That gives them an idea of how many mediocre starters there really are out there. It's great to have a guy like Joe Ryan. I don't see a trade coming up, but he talked a little bit about that and gave a cryptic answer at the All-Star game. But he's been terrific in the first half. He's all A's to me. Chris Paddack. Now it's like, well, how's this guy doing? It really depends on when you're asking me.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't say D+, but now he's got a 4.95 ERA in 19 starts. He was horrendous. I mean, he was not as bad as Bailey Ober in June, but it was bad. It was an ERA over 6 and a 4.95 ERA. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm giving him a D+ overall. But, if you'd asked me 6 weeks ago, I'd say like B-. So it's been a harsh nosedive for Chris Scott Paddack.
Yeah, I'm going to split the difference there with a C, probably just a straight up C. He's not striking anybody out, but he's doing a fairly good job of walks, keeping the ball in the park. It's just, a 4.95 ERA isn't good enough. That's a 5th starter on a decent team, even a good team, and they need him to be more than that. Now, if you grade on a curve of maybe what you expected coming into the season, that's certainly a factor, but he's been especially poor at stranding runners, 64.6% strand rate. I want to give some context there. Pablo Lopez, 75.4%. Joe Ryan, 81.5%. So Willie Castro, 100%. I'm kidding. But strand rates for guys, I think the league average is about 75, something like that.
Yeah.
That's an issue. And for him, for starters, you've put those guys on in the first place, so it's your job to strand them. With relievers, a little bit trickier. And with that said, if you're not striking anybody out and your strand rate is bad, that's where you're prone to blow up innings like he's had. And he just doesn't pitch well out of the stretch, I think is what it comes down to. Like I actually had looked it up for a bit for TV, and his splits from runners on and bases empty were stark. Like I don't have them handy here, but I don't know what you make of that. And beyond that, I don't know how you improve it. And you're going to have traffic if you strike out 6.5 batters per 9. Not even 6.5, 6.3. This is like Brad Radke territory.
Well, I knew Brad Radke, Lloyd Benson, and he's no Brad Radke right now.
Yeah.
Bailey Ober, worse. D- for Bailey Ober. I can't give out. If anybody, I can't give out an F. I just can't do it in the middle of the year. I don't think it's good for motivation purposes. I think it's negative reinforcement, and it's bad. But Bailey Ober, here's the stat: a Burt by Levin in 1986-esque 21 homers allowed in 92 innings.
Yeah.
So that's why he's got a 5.28 ERA. He might be the most important guy to fix in the second half. Let's not go down that road because we want to talk about the second half later. But D- for Bailey Ober, the stats are pretty evident.
I'm going to give a straight up D just because he started off well enough that even through all these struggles, a 5.28 ERA seems to actually kind of undersell how poorly he pitched in June. And so I want to give, and you said you don't like to give out Fs. It's like, yeah, you give out an F on the midterm. What's the point of finishing out the class? We want guys to feel like they should finish out the class. I'm sure they're listening with rapt attention to what you have to say.
Question about it.
Straight up D. The peripheral numbers like him a bit more, but at the same time, 2.05 homers per 9 innings. And that is inflated. I don't know what it was in June, but it wouldn't shock me if it approached 3. That's how bad his June was. So a D, just because I'm giving some love to the fact that he had a pretty decent little run there outside of Missouri to start the season.
Let's take our first break. We've only got basically halfway through the rotation. We'll do the other half and other things when we come back from this Locked On Twins commercial break.
Well, we're going to give some love to our friends at Supply House. You can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, and that's, of course, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order your products online. They have an easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast and from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House will give you free expert support and industry-leading service. So you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program, there we go, that's what's free, offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies. I lost my place here. Oh, with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5. That's Sam Horn 5. You'll get 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
The Locked On Twins has returned for Thursday, July 17th. We're doing the grades for the first half. We're in the middle of the pitching staff. We're in the middle of the pitching rotation. Lopez, Pablo, I'm giving him an A. I mean, he only made 11 starts, but he had a 2.82 ERA, so very similar results there to Joe Ryan. And you can't really take away for him being hurt. It's not like it's his fault he got hurt. But they've missed him for those 7 starts for all the things that have gone wrong in the first half. Even Bailey Ober's misadventures. This has been a tough one to overcome. And as you said, he's still going to be out for a while. But Pablo Lopez, I just give an A for his results. He doesn't always have a good first half, but he has. And hopefully he's wanted to, going to put two of those together eventually.
I feel like there's a most interesting man in the world commercial there where I don't always have a good first half. When I do, I drink Dos Equis. No, if the primes will tell you that it was okay for him to miss time with his shoulder thing, but that's not true. No, if you want any more proof though that he deserves an A, because so many people think that injuries are a character flaw, look how they've pitched without him, especially again June. Like there is so much absolute proof the value he has, and I know like it's like the old MVP argument. A pitcher only dictates how things go one in every 5 days. And so how much do they matter on the other days? So he's missed 8 starts.
7 or 8 starts.
Paddack has 19. Ryan has 19 appearances. I'm counting that other one as a start. Yeah, Ober 7. Yeah, so you're looking at 7, 8 starts. That alone matters. But I wonder what collateral effect there is facing Pablo and then facing someone else the next day. Is there an effect, a hangover effect? Is there Pablo is spin and a good fastball? Does Bailey Ober maybe benefit pitching after him and then Joe Ryan after that? Like, there's nothing we can tangibly say, but I don't know. I have a hard time believing that it's Pablo pitches once every 5 days, and that's the extent of his effect on this team. I think there's more to it than that.
I think you're right. And I think one thing that is certain is that if Pablo had been available, he only made 1 start in June. If he had been available most of that time, they could have taken Ober out of the rotation sooner. There really wasn't anybody to replace him based on Lopez's injury. And
they patched it together with Travis Adams, and nothing against Patch Adams, but he doesn't seem to be one of the ready for prime time players. You know what I mean?
So that alone killed them this month. Not having him there and not being able to replace Ober essentially until they finally did.
You could theoretically subtract a run from their ERA probably, and on a like some folks have said, that was their only month of hitting this year. It was like a 100 something weighted runs created plus. They actually hit in June and didn't pitch.
If they had 3 more wins, they'd be over 500. Of course, if Grandma had wagons, she'd be a wheel. But so Lopez gets an A. SWR, Simeon Woods Richardson, I give a B-. He has a 3.95 ERA. And he's been, except for 1 start, I think 2 starts ago was kind of he's been better. I mean, and thank goodness that he has. Otherwise, they'd be in an even bigger hole. So he's shown some fortitude and a little bit of improvement, and he gets a B- from me. SW.
Yeah, this is where I struggle on whether to grade on a curve or on like expectations or like, but he's grown. Like, it's very clear he's grown as a pitcher, and I believe that he would. And linear development is not linear. It's going to be difficult for a young, and he's still more, younger than people realize. Born in I think 2000, so he's still very much in the infancy of his big league career, and to be a passable, if not fairly solid number 4 starter right now. Again, not what they need just based on how things have gone, but he's come up and he's met, and I think even exceeded expectations. I'm giving him what I say. Did I say something already? I think I was thinking B or B+ in my mind based on, maybe nudging it up for how he's stepped up when they've needed him. I think B+, and really, I think he's got another level that he's going to find here sooner rather than later. I don't know if it'll be this year yet, or maybe it's out of the gates next year, but I still think the best is yet to come with Simeon Woods Richardson, and that's pretty exciting. But for now, he's doing his job, and he's doing it pretty well. Give him a B.
David Festa, he's got a 5.25 ERA and 9 starts. I think that is maybe a little high in reflecting like how well he's pitched, but more so it's a little skewed because I think lately he's been better. Mm-hmm. So we've got this it depends on what time you're asking me. Right now, even though it's still high, that ERA, I think it's going to come down. But for a 5.25 ERA, if Paddack gets a D+ or a D for a 4.95 ERA, I'm giving Festa a D with the expectation that it's going to get better.
Straight up C for me. The peripherals are pretty good, actually. 9 strikeouts per 9, so strikeout per inning, 3.4 walks per 9, 1.3 run homers, 3.1, sorry. So you want that to come down, but those 3 by themselves, not horrible. Strand rate issues there too. If Paddack's got him at 64.6, Festa's 62.9. So I feel like Festa though is, when you see not necessarily a hot shot pitcher, but like trying to think of who is a big prospect who came up and was merely okay for a while. Maybe I mean, what was like Shelby Miller like, or what was
Tim Lincecum's rookie year wasn't that good. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be that, but
I feel like he's on the cusp of being a difference maker as a starting pitcher, and that's why I'm giving him a C.
And I look at I'm giving Zebby a C, but he's got a 5.21, basically the same ERA, a 25-8 strikeout to walk ratio in 19 innings, so not a lot of innings. 3.08 FIP. So that shows a guy that has
that's a lot of strikeouts too. Like that's almost 12.
That's good. That is a very good amount of strikeouts. So the signs are good. These grades are really whatever they are. Hopefully, most of the girth for the grades, the substance of the grades, will be in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think too. It's like the kid that moves in the middle of the school year. How do you, what do you do with their grades? You're obviously not bringing them with them, but
I like that analogy. That's pretty good.
It is an interesting analogy, isn't it? Yeah, I'd say Zebby for me B- because he did get roughed up a little bit. I think it was Seattle where he got knocked around a bit and then came back and finished off that start pretty well. The FIP, all that stuff tells a pretty good story. I am exceedingly eager to see what he has when he comes back, and give him time. It's going to take a little time. If he only has the one rehab start as a few of us or a few of y'all, I'm not sure about that, but you and Gleeman both said that he might just come back after one. He might need a little time to get past the 5-inning bump. And I mean, Rocco might not push him past that anyway. But he might need a little time. So just, we got to understand that. But that's an exciting option to have for a wild card option. He's pitched well beyond his numbers.
Let's take our second break. There's a second break, isn't there?
Yes.
Let's take our second break, and then we'll just do a clean break and then do the bullpen.
Well, we got to talk to you about our friends at Monarch Money. If you ever wish managing your money felt easier, you may be a member of the Polad family. No, I'm kidding. With Monarch Money, you can actually make it easier to manage your money, even if you're not trying to buy a major league franchise. And we'll see when that happens, because Rob Manfred said over the break, he was, I think, a little more optimistic than maybe the rest of all of us are. But with Monarch Money, you can make managing your money even easier, whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, let's say a house, vehicle, that sort of thing. Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, tracking all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. The biggest thing is you will find trends in your spending that you probably weren't even aware of. It's like, are you aware as a baseball player that you swing at the first pitch more often than not, or you go to a certain pitch in a certain count? Well, you might find that at certain parts of the month when you're under the most stress at work, you might be spending a little more on, let's say, delivery for pizza or other sorts of foods. You will see some interesting trends that you will want to address whatever way you deem appropriate. But I'll say this, it's some very intriguing outputs that you will find. You can take control of your finances, though, with Monarch Money by using the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. You'll get 50% off your first year. Again, that's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB, and they'll give you half off your first year.
Locked On Twins, third segment, second show, first half grades. Second half starts tomorrow. Starting at the bottom, now this segment at the bottom of the bullpen, just based on performance, Cole Sands. I suppose it isn't that surprising. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
He was a go-to guy last year. It looks like he's starting to get going a little bit. He's been better lately. He wasn't used a whole lot in June, but that was a bad. He wasn't Bailey Ober bad in June, but he wasn't good. Yeah. Overall, 4.15 ERA. 29-9 strikeout to walk ratio. That's pretty good. 39 innings. So the strikeouts are low, but the walks aren't too bad. He's gotten caught up in some things. I'm giving him a C with the high expectations for the second half.
Yeah, I'll go with a C-. I would really like to see the strikeouts bump up. And the strand rate, 58.4%. That makes you semi-unplayable in big spots. And the tough thing with Sands is, while you're not necessarily needing to rely on him in big spots, let's say it's the 7th game in 7 days, you have no break. There's a chance you're going to have to go to a guy like him in a big spot where you normally would have liked to use Danny Coulombe, Griffin Jax, so there is still some pressure on him. He's not working the biggest spots, but with a bullpen that is being used the way it is, and for as much as people want to knock Rocco for it, it's kind of out of necessity, really, in a lot of ways. And I don't know, maybe you'll disagree a little bit, but to that end, I just need a little more from Sands, so I'm going C-.
I think we'll get it. I think we'll get a little more. Justin Topa Cabana, 3.82 ERA, 31-10 strikeout to walk ratio, pretty good in 37 innings. I think his FIP is maybe a run lower, which surprised me, I guess, than his ERA. So I'm giving him a B, but his performance. Yeah. Okay. Well, it similar. I mean, not as important leverage situations as Sands, but similar performance. I give him a B. Maybe I'm too generous. I don't know.
No, I think a B- is probably where I'm at. He's just had a few dust-ups, and again, the strand rate, not great there. He's 62%, Sands 58%. By comparison, Jax 69.8%, if you want to talk about somebody who has some weird innings. Duran 80.8%, and Admiral Corporal Louis the fifth 86.4%. Absolute nails out there. So Topa has been an effective and important cog in what is still a good bullpen, even if the numbers have skewed a little bit, have sagged a little bit. What did I say, a B? I think it was a B, I said. So I'll go with that.
Okay. Griffin Jax. The expected numbers, the peripheral stats, the 66-10 strikeout to walk ratio.
Insane.
It's pretty clear that he's just been hurt by a few bad moments. And in a recent start, it was hilarious. The soft contact that he was getting into trouble over, which he got out of. I'm going to give him a B just because I could probably give him an A, but based on what his ERA should be and not 3.92, I think he's going to be fine in the second half, and I would not be surprised if he gets on a huge roll and blows the B out of the water.
A- for me. The weird Griffin innings have been there, especially to start the year. Didn't he have I think it was like 7 earned runs in his first 9 innings or some odd thing?
Yeah, gave up a couple of home runs on the edge of the zone that they were lying in wait for him. Arenado hit one. And
Arenado, he ambushed him there in St. Louis, and then one other kind of goofy thing. But
there was one other guy.
Sub 1 homers per 9, so he has really taken strides there. Again, you want the strand rate, easy for me to say, to come down, and a 383 BABIP. So again, there is so many indications that down the stretch, he's just going to be an animal for them. And, if it weren't for him, I think we'd be a lot more tuned into to how good Louis Varland has been, because that duo in front of Jhoan Duran has been absolutely exceptional.
Lou Varland leads the league in appearances with 46. There's been some concern about, are they going to be overworking him? He does have almost 45 innings, but we're well past the halfway point of the season. But you figure the high leverage stuff is still going to be out there. This is where, like, getting Pablo back and getting Ober pitching at least halfway decent, and the upswell of guys like Zebi and Festa pitching more innings is going to be huge. So you don't have to overwork these guys all the time.
Even just one more inning from your starters, if you've got 5 or 6 guys in your bullpen that you trust, that's a shift change, man. 3 and 3. You might go Topa, Stewart, Duran one night, Varland, Jax, Duran the next, or Varland, Jax to close it out. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and it all comes down to, can you squeeze one more inning out of your bullpen? And I didn't even mention Danny Coulombe, who's also been exceptional.
We're getting to him.
Did you give a grade for Varland?
Oh, A, totally.
Straight up A, yeah. He's actually striking out fewer guys than I realized, but it's still 8.7 per 9. I mean, basically a hitter an inning. What I love about him, though, 56.9% ground ball rate. Like, it's not quite in the Jhoan Duran 70% range. And I think we sleep on how ridiculous that is for Duran to have those strikeouts and those grounders. We really do not give enough credit for that. But Varland, A, absolutely an A.
Duran, as far as transitions go, why not? No home runs allowed in 43 innings.
Shocking.
Sometimes 16 walks. He gets a little bit with his iffy with his command, but he's got 49 strikeouts in 43 innings, a 1.66 ERA. Anytime he gives up runs or blows a lead, it doesn't happen a lot, but he does have 4 losses. But it's magnified because it's at the end of the game. He's really pitched well. Duran has. He gets an A too. I'm sure he was kind of close to being an all-star. So
A- for me, but it's really just I don't know. I feel like I still have that tinge of like a little more uncertainty when he comes in than Griffin Jax, which doesn't make sense because there's a 2-run difference in their ERA. But I just feel like he doesn't the command with the velocity. I kind of liken it to if I was going up there to hit. I would be more scared of what Jhoan Duran can do to me than I would be Jax in terms of like maiming.
I don't know. Griffin Jax, 66 strikeouts in 41 innings.
I'm just more concerned about like getting hurt.
I mean, Jax can get out of anything. I think
True.
Jax, here's one thing about Jax. And one thing about, you mentioned how the pitching staff is used. He's inherited 2 runners and neither of them have scored, Jax. I think maybe if you're not you might risk an up and down or whatever, but if he comes in with people on base, that might not be a bad idea to do with Griffin Jax if you're the Twins pitching staff.
You may as well let him take.
They don't like to do it. They don't want to do it, but they might have to.
Let him take someone else's fire. He's having trouble putting out his own. Let him put somebody else's out.
I mean, why not? Brock Stewart, unsung, gets an A. It's been terrific because you just never know how long that arm's going to hold up, and it's held up pretty well. He did have a stint on the IL early in the season, but a 2.45 ERA, 38-10 strikeout walk ratio in 29 innings. He's sort of taken back over the Sands role from last year. He's kind of the stopper in the middle of the game, and Brock Stewart has been just amazing.
That's how Sands' regression hasn't hurt. Now Sands is working the Alcala role. It's been like a lot of the bullpen numbers that are drugged down are from Alcala, Joey Wentz, who didn't work any leverage innings, Cody Funderburk. Like if you look at their 0 and negative WAR relievers or pitchers rather, Travis Adams, Willie Castro, Anthony Misevich, Randy Dobnak, Jonah Bride, Cody Funder down under, Jorge Alcala, and Joey Wentz. Like the leverage guys are numbers 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 12 on the team in WAR, all 0.6 or higher. And that includes Sands at 0.6. Imagine 0.6 in, we're not even 100 games in, right? We're close, but not quite. 0.6 WAR, and again, WAR is not great for relievers, but it's still painting a picture. A disappointing 90-some games with that WAR for a reliever. The Twins used to have years where they would kill for that production.
For sure. The last main guy that we really haven't talked to or about, we've talked to him, but not about him. Danny Coulombe,
the lefty,
0.68 ERA. Yes, 26 and 2/3 innings. So he is about halfway. We're past the halfway point, but he's about halfway to his career high ceiling in innings, and he spent time in the IL already. But 29-7 strikeout to walk ratio, 169 FIP. So I give him an A+. I think he's done the best job of doing his job for anybody on the team.
I'm convinced that the way the ball comes out of his hand, he moves his arm and then the ball comes out like a full second later. It's got to be just a complete mind bleep to hit against him, and he's proven that. A+ for sure. Tremendous.
So we didn't have time to go over the grades for the coaching staff or the front office. I'm going to find a way to shoehorn that in another time. So.
Maybe we'll talk about that and the patch sponsorship that they announced.
There's Luke Keeshaw started his rehab, and
Hooray!
That kind of thing. So
yeah.
So there's plenty to talk about
Little potpourri.
in one of the new episodes that we'll be doing soon. So, but until then, we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So, for my friend Brandon Warne, this is Dave Brown, wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying that we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night.